You consent to be in live streamed. Okay, see, I never had to do that. Okay, very good. I consent.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Yeah, they do, like they're crossing all their
legal stuff. Yep.
yeah. And boom. All right, there we go. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Awakening. We are getting real with John today. And thank you for being here, John. Another one of my favorite people. And so this is so cool because I get to bring him on here and we get to have a conversation like we do a lot. How lucky am I? And I get to share it with you guys. It's so cool. Anyway. So if you don't know John, this is John.
Turn down this.
You want to share?
Okay, Sally. Yeah, I wanted to find the live, and I got it.
You got it. Okay.
I got it, kiddo. And I'm going to share it to all my pages, if you don't mind.
Yeah, take two. Yeah, it's fine. Take 2 seconds. I have my sound on.
Yeah, I ran into that myself. Let's see here. Angelic mediumship. Okay. Putting you there.
All right. And
we're all over the place today, kid.
Right on. Well, I will put your contact information in the comment section of this actual live stream.
Thank you.
So, yeah. All right. We good?
We're good, Sally. We're good.
Business done. Now we're going to just get to chatting. All right. So do you want to tell us all a little bit about you? And I know I sent you a few questions earlier that I was hoping to ask you about. However you want to do that. If you want to just tell us about you and what you do, or you can start with your awakening and how you got here. That's whatever you want to do. It's up to you.
Okay, the awakening and how I got here. Wow. Oh boy. Okay. There have been so many awakenings.
Wow.
And for me, they happen that way. Sally, there was, I don't even know if I told you when we were reading together and chatting together that I had this visit from Jesus in I think it was around 2010. And Sally, I have to say that was the beginning of the first awakening.
Right.
And it was such a connection that was, I don't know what other word to use, but it felt kind of spooky. It almost felt like I made a physical and spiritual connection with that energy, Jesus energy, which is actually, he's one of my guides.
Right.
So, and ever since there, it's been a slow and steady progression of helping myself and helping other people heal. And it started with me learning how to use the tool of emotional freedom technique, EFT. A lot of people may know it. A lot of people don't know it.
Yeah.
Emotional freedom technique. It incorporates tapping and mindfulness, Sally. And what it does is, you know what? I want to give people, it's very, very short. I don't want to read anything out of a book, but I want to give people a perspective of what it's doing in the body so that they can get a quick understanding of it. And it's important for everybody to hear this because it's very short.
Okay.
And
well, and people don't need to have all of this background. So what I know about EFT, what I call tapping, is that, you've taught me some tapping things and I might not fully understand, like, the different meridians or the whatever I'm doing, but just doing it, and it does bring this sense of peace and calm, and um and so I think it's great. Share people, and even if you want to share a couple little deals with everybody, just because we can put this in our toolbox and we don't need to understand the whole thing behind it. But go ahead and read what you're going to read.
This is I want to, Sally, I'm happy you said that because it brings a sense of peace and calm, and I'd like to explain to everybody why that is. EFT is energy psychology, guys, just for everybody to understand. These protocols rapidly downregulate the fight or flight response associated with hyperarousal by sending deactivating signals directly to the limbic system. When we're in any kind of distress, guys, our fight or flight mechanism in our brain is activated, okay? And this tapping sequence is the art of touching tapping on the meridians while being mindful of what we're feeling in the moment, and it downregulates that fight or flight arousal response, and it brings the body, mind, and spirit a sense of calm and peace. So it's a perfect Sally, high vibrational tool.
Yeah, and it's like bringing the Trinity, right? All
Right.
together, bringing it all together.
It brings everything into presence. Okay, what am I feeling in the moment, and what would I like to feel? And if I'm not in a place of peace and presence in the moment, then I'm outside of that, and I'm somewhere else. And the tapping can quickly bring you back into presence and peace quicker than any other tool I know, Sally. I call it, in the EFT community, it's not described as a self-compassion tool, but to me, that's what it is. It's a self-compassion awareness tool. And what that means is, if I cannot be compassionate with what I'm feeling, okay, then I'm in resistance. Okay. Spirit put us here in this emotional human body. Okay. We're going to have 50 to 100,000 thoughts and emotions per day, Sally, and they're not always all good.
Really?
That's how many we have.
Wow.
And so in a moment of distress, why am I feeling this and what's going on? I'm feeling off. Well, that's how easy the tool is. Even though I'm feeling off and can't even describe it, I'm willing to be compassionate with myself. And doing that in the moment just down regulates my system, and I take a couple of deep breaths through the nostrils. And before you know it, things start to clear. It's like a cloud that starts to clear. And Sally, I really feel, and I'm very grateful, I really feel that everybody can learn this tool and incorporate it if they'd like to. I don't push this down anybody's throat, but I am so, how would you say, knowledgeable of how the human emotional system works by being an EFT practitioner that this works so well. It led me to getting in touch with my psychic abilities a lot better. And now I kind of do emotional healing and spiritual counseling all mixed in together. So that's the way it worked for me, Sally. I had, a couple of strokes back in 2018, and that was another part of my spiritual awakening. That kind of sent me on a rocket ship up to spirit, the way I like to say it. But self-compassion awareness is something I feel we should all learn to incorporate in our daily toolbox because it can get you through some really troubling times.
Yeah. Well, and I remember I was talking to you. We were doing a video. I don't remember. We were talking and doing readings, or I don't, anyway, whatever, whichever time, I don't remember. But I was feeling really overwhelmed at the moment. And so you're like, can I offer you a suggestion? And, what's interesting is that sometimes we're feeling all of this and we're not accepting it.
Sally, that's exactly it. We're not accepting it. We're fighting it.
As soon as we accept what it is that we're actually feeling, it can flow.
Okay. The not accepting it is putting a clog in the system, if you would,
Yeah.
a blockage in the system. And the minute you accept that you're feeling it, I know it's uncomfortable to accept that you're feeling like crap. I know it's uncomfortable.
At the beginning.
At the beginning, and then it starts to, right? We in the spiritual community, we're always saying, own your feelings, own your feelings, own your feelings. And what we've learned is the more you keep owning your feelings and not fight with them, they start to flow. And we don't judge the feelings, right, Sally? We
It's
learn.
all temporary, right?
Okay. Acceptance.
Yeah. Of whatever it is.
Acceptance of what's true in the moment. And that's what EFT is. Even though I'm feeling this, I accept that it's true in the moment, and that's just the way it is. It doesn't have to be big and elaborate, Sally.
Well, and somebody like me who, there's a lot of us, and this is what I'm hoping that this interview series, a lot of us have suffered PTSD or, various traumas throughout our life. And so we do this disassociation thing, and we totally try to push off our feelings the minute we get a real strong one, even if it's positive. It's like this weird thing that that's our coping mechanism, is that we're pushing it off and we're trying to resist and we don't want to feel. But what's interesting is that we can feel all of this. There is no reason except for the block in our mindset, that we can totally do this. We just have to accept and validate our own emotional experience, whatever that is in any moment, and know that it's going to keep shifting.
Sally, why do you feel we don't accept our feelings sometimes for any certain reason? Or
I feel like especially those of us that have been through deep traumas,
okay,
we tend to feel like if we go into a feeling that we're going to get stuck there forever.
okay.
And so, that was my belief. That was why I was disassociating all the time. But now I'm not.
So in those times of getting those deep feelings, what do you do, Sally?
Well, I try to be in my body. And I say that because I used to immediately go out. I'd be like, see ya, I'm out of here. But now
Okay.
I start breathing. That's
Okay.
so conscious breath is like the first thing for me when I start to feel overwhelmed.
I start breathing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like in my body where the breath goes. And then I also push it all the way out to the limits.
Okay.
But and now, like, especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed or sad, then I now do this or
Okay.
this.
So the first thing is, Sally, I hear you saying, is I become aware of what I'm feeling and I breathe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bring it into my human. I'm fully present in my body. Yes.
And that is what you call mindfulness, Sally. And a lot of people, okay, right? These terms we give everything, but it's being
Right.
mindful of what am I feeling right now? Instead of disassociating from it, I'm going to bring it into my body and feel it. Where is it? It might be in my chest, in my shoulders, in my heart, in my tummy. And just be aware of that. And what can I do with it? And what can I do with it? I could breathe. I can let it flow. I can tap. there's a lot of different ways that you can let that uncomfortable energy flow through you so that you can be done with it, so that you can get back to presence and to be in gratitude and joy. Okay. That's why we do these things.
Right.
Okay. Someone said this morning, Sally, on an interview that I was watching, the safest place to be is always with God. Okay. And where do you find where the place you find God is in the present moment. And so if your mind and your emotional system is all uh, charged up with thoughts about the past or worries about the future, you're not being present in the moment. And so you're not with spirit in that moment. Spirit's always there for you, but you're breaking the connection. And so it takes a little work to understand this. Wait a minute, what am I feeling right now? Am I worrying about something that happened in the past, or am I judging myself or something I did in the past? Or am I worrying about something in the future? And if I am, it's what I call being outside of love. And let's get back to the present, which is where love presides, in the present. And I could use my self-compassion tools. I could breathe. I could feel where it is in my body. There's a lot of different ways. And Sally, what you described there is I find myself doing this right now. And what I'd like to explain to everybody is Sally was explaining or showing that she would use the mechanism of tapping to be mindful of what's going on. Right now, I'm feeling overwhelmed and I don't know why. I don't have to know why. I just need to be present with that feeling. That's all I need to do. And just the awareness of doing that means I'm letting that through. I'm not fighting it. I'm not resisting it. I'm not being afraid that God is going to get mad at me. I mean, I hear people say all kinds of things.
Right.
Oh, if I say that, God is gonna feel that I'm not being grateful. Wait a minute, hold on, time out. God put you in an emotional body, okay? And he's giving you every opportunity. There's no judgment. Every opportunity to feel what you're feeling, to accept what you're feeling, and be compassionate with yourself. And then from there, you could move on to feeling whatever you choose to feel. If it's something uncomfortable, you could keep working on it. I'm still feeling this anger. I'm still feeling this anger. And that's how tapping works, Sally. And we're just being mindful that I'm still feeling a little bit of it and it's not totally gone yet. And that's exactly how tapping works. We're just using the meridian system to be mindful of what is present in the moment while tapping. The tapping is activating this electrical energy system in my body and helping this to flow very, very, very quickly.
It kind of reminds me of like when I go really deep into meditation and I start to come out, I wiggle my toes and I wiggle my fingers, and it really
Okay.
does bring me, like, it keeps me in my body. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I have a body, you know? I mean, but, and so there's something about that that keeps me in my body too.
Yes, it keeps you mindful and present of what you're feeling. Okay. And Sally, there's such a freedom in that. Just such a freedom and comfort knowing I can express whatever I'm feeling without any kind of judgment.
Right.
Okay. And that is the thought process I'd like people to understand about EFT. It's a self compassion awareness tool. Now, if you're in a place, Sally, that perhaps with a lot of people and you don't want to start tapping, you can just be mindful of this process. Hey, I'm sitting here. I could be in a doctor's office. Now, I'm the crazy one that'll tap in a doctor's office, and I don't care what anybody thinks. One person actually said, "Sir, are you all right? Looks like you're having some kind of a nervous breakdown or something." I said, "No, I'm just tapping. I'm fine." And I was tapping on my fingers. There are meridians in the end points of your fingers, and my thought process at the time, waiting for the doctor, waiting to go into the doctor, was, "Oh, I don't know what he's going to hit me with. What is he going to find? What pill is he going to tell me I have to go on?" And
Right.
that is what I was going through in the moment. And I just wanted to calm down about that.
I find that fascinating because that seems to go with the mudras too. It goes,
Yes.
I mean,
In the fingers, on the inside of your fingers at the tip, they're meridians. So you can tap very inconspicuously under a table. If you're sitting at a table full of people and everybody's clamoring about how terrible the world is and it's starting to get you, and you really don't want to be involved in that conversation and you'd like to calm down about it, you could just tap under the table.
and so people can't like tap in the wrong place, right?
You really can't tap in the wrong. No, you can't do it wrong, Sally.
Okay. Well, I felt like that was a question out there, so I thought I would ask it.
No,
Okay.
you can't tap in the wrong place, and sooner or later, if you start to tap, you develop a favorite place. And for me, it's the collarbone point. I'll show everybody what the points are.
That's the one yeah.
This is the side of the hand point. My wife likes to use this a lot, and this is where you declare or tune in or become aware of what's going on. Okay, I'm feeling nervous in the moment, and I'm willing to show myself some compassion. That's just the way I feel. I don't need to know why I feel this way, guys. Very important. I don't need to know why I feel this.
Right.
It doesn't matter if my son or daughter came home with a bad report card. It doesn't matter if it's coming from my father in the hospital being sick. It doesn't matter why. Okay? Emotions, start learning how to get rid of the word, why is this happening? Okay, I don't know why, and that's just how I feel. I don't need to know why. Okay, all I know is my emotions are stirring. Okay, it's an uncomfortable feeling in my body, and I'd like to be compassionate with myself. This is the way God made me, and this is the way it's going to be as long as I'm here in the physical on this planet. So I might as well learn how to use this tool of being in acceptance of what I feel without judging it. Okay. And that, Sally, if you like to use that point, that is the starting point for EFT.
Wow.
And then
I'm a new
after we declare with acceptance what we're feeling, we go through the points. The first point is on the eyebrow point, which is right over the bridge of the nose. And the next point is on the side of the eye on the bone. And the next point is under the eye on the bone. And the next point is under the nose, on the top of the lip. And then in the crease of the chin. And then underneath the collarbone, you could use 2 hands or 1. When you're tapping, you could use 2 hands or 1. It doesn't matter, guys. And then when you get into the ribs, for gals, it's where your bra strap goes. For guys, it's a full arm length. A full hand length down from your armpit. Get into the ribs, and that clears up all kinds of lymph congestion in the body, Sally, and it just calms the freaking body right down. So you get into the ribs and then the top of the head like a monkey. And those are your points. And when you're in a state of hyperarousal, you're feeling off, you're feeling overwhelmed, a couple of rounds of tapping doesn't have to be a psychological, how would you say, session with a doctor. Okay. It's okay to go to a psychologist, go to a therapist. I don't care who you go to that makes you help you feel better, but this is a self-help tool. Okay. It can also be used in healing severe trauma, but we're not going there right now because I'm trying to help people with their everyday thought processes and emotions, Sally. So,
Right on.
okay. Sally, I wanted to, if you don't mind, I pulled this for your group, for our collective here, and the card says strength. Strength lies not in the doing, but in the being. Strength is your state of being when you choose to keep believing, regardless of what appears to be real. Okay. It is through your belief that all things are possible. So no matter how tough things get, guys, hold on to that belief and hope that things can and will get better. And guess what? They always do. If you get into that faith and thought process, because spirit is always here for you. Okay? There's nobody up there dangling your strings, guys. And this is something that Sally and I and other members of the spiritual community are always trying to help you understand. Spirit's always working for you. Sally, I'm blabbering away. Let's talk a little.
I love this. I love this. No, that's so true though. And your mindset and how you're choosing to see things is really important, because whatever it is that you're focusing on, you're going to bring more. So if you're focusing on how horrible things are right now, guess what happens usually?
Yes. You're attracting it because that's where your energy is focused, right? And you're using.
Yeah.
So Sally,
I usually just try to figure a way to shift into gratitude, and sometimes it's easier than others, but usually with practice, it gets, I can find anything to be grateful for in any situation, even the most dark, horrible, horrific type situation. I can find a silver lining. And that actually speaks to strength too, to bring it back to your card.
Sally, you just mentioned gratitude. If there's any stronger tool or mindset, I would say that would be the one, gratitude. Okay. And it's as simple as in the moment being grateful for this pen. Okay. If you're in a state, Sally, whether you're anxious or depressed or something going on, I understand that that's very difficult for people. I get that. Okay. And the EFT is tremendous with helping you with that.
Well, because people start looping.
Right. Looping thoughts is what anxiety is.
Yeah, it's horrible. I get it.
It's horrible. Oh, what's going to happen? How am I going to do this? Where do I start over? How do I get this done? That's what anxiety is. And that's how the human mind brain connection is working. It's like a, Sally, it's a, a computer. It's a program playing in the back of your brain.
It is. Yes,
okay.
It is.
And what happens is the older we get, these programs start when we're little. And the older we get, we start growing more programs. And then the information that these programs are throwing out becomes integrated. and it becomes a big ball of program. And so if you don't learn how to take that program apart and calm it down, it's going to give you flood of emotion. Okay. And so Dr. Joe Dispenza, there are so many professionals out there that teach us breathing and how to calm that stuff down.
Heart-brain coherence.
Right. Heart coherence. You could work with the heart. And these are the tools to help us work on our human condition in a, being humans in a spiritual setting. Okay. I don't know if that's coming out right, but I think you guys know what I mean.
One of the first things that I started with way back, Oprah was still on TV. That was how far back.
I remember Oprah.
That was a while ago. But she was talking about making gratitude lists and to set a commitment to yourself to write on the list every day. And so that's what I started to do. And that was, I mean, I didn't really get good at gratitude until probably like 2016. But I mean, it takes a while. I mean, at least in my knowing, and the people that are awakening right now, it might not take you anytime. So believe, don't take on that, for you. But for me, it was a practice. And it was like, okay, well, yeah, my day was crappy. Yeah, but I look through what is there something that I could be grateful for? But now, I mean, now it's easy. So it is a practice. The more you practice finding the silver lining, however you want to look at it, in any situation, in any person, in any experience, right? There is deep, deep, deep healing. And I like to say it's like having the training wheels on for a spiritual awakening, because going into that gratitude will just skyrocket, right? Your awakening. Your vibration is just gonna go through the roof, especially if you look back through your past experiences and are able to shift them with gratitude. It's like life-changing.
What, Sally, what would be an example of shifting our, would you say, past experiences?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will share one.
Go ahead. No, I'd like
Hold on,
people
I need
to
to
hear
make
this
a
stuff.
lighter one. Okay. Well, so I will say, it's this interesting thing of, when a lot of inner child work actually is first thing that comes to me. But being able to look at an experience, like I will say, like over the weekend, I had this opportunity to be there for myself when I was little, like the other day. So, and so just that. And so I had this sensation of an earache, and I used to have them all the time when I was little, like really bad earaches where it felt like there was a giant in my bedroom. And my mom really she didn't want to comfort me. Like I would get up and want to just be comforted, and that was not happening. I was supposed to be in bed. I wasn't supposed to get up. And I remember laying there and feeling so alone, and all of these, alone, suffering, in pain, by myself, and because I was really young, I didn't even really know what was going on. Is there a giant in my space? I don't know. But anyway, so like this last weekend, I had this opportunity. I had the sensation of an earache. And what I did was I went into the sensation of the earache, and it brought me back to a memory. And I was able to now at this age be there with my little self. Oh, and I took her by the hand and I said, no, it's okay. You have an earache. And you're going to be okay. And here, just I comforted myself. And so there is this thing of, and then it's like, that's how we can shift things from the past.
Sally, that is the most profound healing that there is, that being compassionate with the inner child.
Yeah.
Okay, you as an adult can cradle that child and understand. Hey, I was little. Mom said I had to be in bed. I couldn't get out of bed. No one's there to comfort me. We're not blaming mom, guys. Let's get that straight.
No.
And in EFT, in EFT, if we could put you back in that place of the child, well, mom told me I had to be in bed. Okay. And now we're tuned into that feeling as a little child and we're healing that.
Yeah.
And what comes out of it, Sally, is now you have a different perspective. And the different perspective is what creates new beginnings for us. Okay. And that's what looking at things with gratitude can do. It shifts your perspective on things.
And it ripples out into very unexpected ways.
It does.
Yeah.
And makes way for new creation and openness. How can I look at this in a different way? Well, let me be compassionate with that little child who was afraid and alone in bed. He's got pounding earaches, and no one's coming to comfort me. Okay, what am I supposed to do with that? All I could do was be compassionate. Hey, I did the best I can. I stayed in bed. Okay,
Right.
how about looking at it like, you know what? I was, when I really think back in it, that was pretty brave of me to stay in bed and to do the best I can. That was pretty brave of me, So you're shifting the perspective in the way you look at it, guys, and that is what healing is. Okay, and but it all starts with, Sally, you touched on the most important thing. You had to comfort that child, and that's being compassionate with that child. So there we go. Let's go back to what is the foundational awareness of healing? It's self-compassion, guys. Self-compassion awareness. Listen, you're going to hear things from 1,000 different people that talk spiritual talk. That's my thing. You could choose to believe it, or you can let it go and say this is woo-woo. I don't give a shit. But that's what works for me. That's what I teach. That's what I suggest people try. And the people that resonate with the message, come to me. The people that don't, do it some other way. I know a girl that heals everything with strictly gratitude. And I said, you know what? That is amazing. I says, even when you're distressed, she says, even when I'm distressed, I'll shift to something to be grateful for. And it works for me. I said, that is an amazing way of doing it, because I'm not always capable of being grateful when I'm in the mud, Sally. So when I'm not capable of being grateful while I'm in the mud, I reach for self-compassion.
Yeah.
And once I can understand myself and be compassionate with myself, and I know that fog has been lifted from my feelings, now I could be grateful. I could feel it. I could feel the gratitude. So, but gratitude is certainly a go-to awareness for anybody. In the moment, what could I be grateful for?
Well, and it's interesting. I mean, shifting perspective. I mean, that's really, we're programmed to see things a certain way. And as we, are, I loved that you said earlier, your first awakening, because, we were talking before we actually went live, but this is just a series of awakenings. Like, we are just continually growing and changing and transforming. And I mean, especially the big ones, they are awakenings.
Yeah, you know what's coming to me, Sally? Are we aware that it's awakening? That it's an awakening? I guess we're always, I guess this human life is an awakening. Okay. But are we aware of calling it that or realizing that's what it is. All through my younger life, I'm a dad, I was a ball player, I was a businessman, and I was awakening all the time, but I didn't know it. Okay. I didn't call it that. Oh, I'm going through an awakening. I'm
Right.
going through a Kundalini. I never thought of it that way.
Right.
But Sally, that's what got me to where I am today and where you are today. And you're able to look at your experiences and what they taught you and to find the gratitude in those experiences, the gratitude of which you spoke, is a key to living a joyful life. It really is.
Yeah. I don't have to hold on to resentment. I don't have to hold on to anger. I don't have to hold on to anything. That the attachment is, it's just so as you learn this, right, you're just like, why do I need to attach to anything? I don't really, except for every moment that I can find joy in any moment. And I know sometimes it's harder than others, and there is this aspect of duality, and I accept that. you know it is true that going through dark times, there are really, really bright times that follow. And by doing that, it's like you appreciate it even more. And so, there's this sense of gratitude for everything. And I will say that, I worked with one of my I have a trinity of people that I hang around with, but and his name is John too. But the one of the biggest shifts that I ever had was working with him, and he does emotional integration work very similarly, but different. And so it was to go deep into some childhood sexual experiences and to shift those and to empower my child and to take the strength and what it has brought me now from going through that and realizing that I called it in. I mean, I called everything in. And people have a really hard time with this, and a lot of people may not agree with me, and that's okay. You do you, I'm doing me. This is working for me. And when I say that, the idea of self-empowerment feels so much better than feeling like I am at the whim of who knows what, some darkness. I mean, yeah, there are aspects of that too, but I see now that I when I came into this life, I said, I'll have one of everything, pretty much.
Okay.
you know, and that's kind of how I see it now. I I thought I was a badass.
I'm,
I
what
I
is it?
didn't,
Is that mindset, Sally? Let me ask you this. Is that mindset, I must have chose this?
yeah.
Okay.
And it's like this thing of I didn't, so I think I feel like I was up there and I was looking through this menu of experiences, and I'm like, yeah, I want one of these and I want one of these, but it was not specific. It was more of, I want to have these feelings, because I am love, right? We are, when we are in between incarnating,
That
or
is your default state. That is your default who you are.
that is me. Well, and that is my name. But yes, it is also who I am. But all of us. And so, but I see myself sitting there going, okay, I want this, I want this, I want this. And in the choosing, I did not fully understand what I was asking for. And that is my knowing. And so it's like, okay, well, I got exactly what I wanted in a way that might have not felt very good.
Okay. Wow.
So
That's
that is my honest, I mean, that's how I look at things. And a lot of people don't really like that. And that was my friend John that really has had helped me shift, especially the big baddie, stuff that I went through as a child, and to empower myself, to really get rid of that victim mentality that I had been living under for 40 years.
So Sally, let me ask you a question. How did that help you with that knowing and understanding now that you have about that? How
Mhm.
did that help you going? How does that help you going forward?
Well, so if I come across a very challenging situation,
Okay.
I look at it as like, hmm, what what is it in this challenge that I called in? What am I supposed to learn here? What am
Okay.
I what emotions? Because a lot of it for me was feeling a certain way. It was about abandonment. It started out as being adopted. It went on, some might say I felt abandoned when I was having my earache and I was alone. So it's like this repeated thing. And so now I look for that. I look for the patterns, because that was what I wanted to experience here. And so what I found, I also, it's so funny because, you know, there's also this, we were talking earlier, we'll talk about the connection between emotion, mental, and body. But there is this thing where I was recently in the doctor's office and they thought they found cervical cancer again, which I've already had once and had it removed and I've been fine. But I was in there and they found it again. And I had a real serious conversation with the universe when I was having my biopsy. And I was like, you know what? I already did this. I already did this, and this is what I learned. And this is what I mean, this is my thought process. And I'm like, so I do not need to experience this again. And
Okay.
and
Wow.
it was clear. It was clear.
Wow, Sally. Wow.
I know. I don't
That
know.
that's like almost that's like stepping into your God, if you would. For
But
people that
that's
don't understand that, um,
Mhm.
instead of feeling like a victim, you said, I don't need to experience that anymore. But I had a question for you, Sally. Do you recognize the patterns now?
Yeah, usually. Well, sometimes, so it depends on how deep into shadow we're talking. And I say that because I sometimes I need help. you know,
Okay.
it's like what I know is that we can't always see our own shit. Like, and I say shit and I don't mean it's even shit. I just say there are some things, especially the deep dark, that we have trouble seeing ourselves no matter how much light we are.
Okay. I
And
agree.
so
I agree.
it's great to have friends, like you. I am like so blessed, like to have so many friends that are like, hey, this is what I'm noticing. What do you get? Or hey, can you help me with this? I'm experiencing this. What is the deal? I mean, I have people that help me, and I also reciprocate. But it's like it's this, you know, I think we do need help sometimes. And although most of this journey is internal, I feel like a lot of it is internal, that we should use our own guidance, but sometimes it takes a little bit to get to that point.
To the
And
best of our ability. Yep.
and then even after, no matter how advanced you want to call yourself on your journey, you still might need um outside perspective that is loving kindness to help show you, shine a light on the things that you absolutely can't see.
I 5,000% agree. We do the best we can with it, but if we're I want to say stuck, but the word stuck suggests that
It's more
we're
that we have blinders. I mean, this
yeah.
is how I see it. We have blinders, and there's certain things that um we are still we still have amnesia. Like, and we absolutely cannot see certain things. And maybe I'm going to work on that belief. But anyway, because I could probably change it. Um and we all can. But that's what I've noticed, and I actually am going to work on that for
The
myself.
re- the reason why I asked you about uh, noticing the pattern, Sally, is I want people to understand that sometimes it would take Look, I want your audience to know, Sally, that you and I work on constantly empowering ourselves. Okay, so
Yep.
one of those empowerment states of awareness is that I am not victim to any kind of pattern that has been reoccurring in my life. I can get help with it, or I could learn to do it myself too. Now, this goes to what Sally was just talking about. Sometimes we have the blinders on, and that vision of when the horses are running and they got to put uh, the goggles on them because they're getting distracted
Yep.
when the horses are racing. They put blinders on them just for that certain reason. There's a lot of distraction. So where am I going with this? With patterns. If I notice a pattern uh, that's reoccurring in my life, every time, Sally, look, for lack of explaining this to death, I'm going to give somebody, I'm going to give everyone an example of how this worked for me, and it was a money pattern. And
Okay.
just so that people can understand that you can empower yourself to heal this stuff, and you could heal it very quickly without going to years of therapy. It's okay to go to therapy if that makes you feel better. If you want to do that, that's fine. But for people that are interested in working on this stuff, Sally, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like for gals like you, me, our spiritual community, we're always looking at this stuff, and we're trying to recognize what's going on here. Okay, so for any, there's this little story about me. I was driving around, and I'm driving around in my little Cadillac XT4. It's a cute little buggy, and it's a nice car. I'm, very grateful to have it. But one day I'm running into, listen to this, Sally. I'm running into Maserati. I'm running into expensive Benzes, Porsches, 100, 200, $300,000 cars. And all of this is in my awareness all day. I'm running into all of these cars. And here I am driving around in my crappy little $41,000 Cadillac XT4. And here's what I want people to understand. My
Like,
thought,
where are you in?
my thought process
Mhm.
was, oh, I'm very grateful for what I have. However, I'll never have money like that. Now that's what we call a limiting belief.
Right.
Okay. And Sally, here's what I mean about the EFT. Here's how it worked for me that day. Even though I have this pattern that I feel like I'll never have that kind of money, that big money, I don't know where that came from. I know it came out of my past, the way I was trained to think about money. I know it came out of my past. I'm feeling it. I know it's true, and I choose to heal that back to wherever I created it. Is what I did in the tapping. So where am I going with this? I'm saying in 10 seconds of tapping, I healed something that I don't even know where it was created. Okay. It might have been created in a mindset, in my lineage.
That's what I just heard. But anyway.
Okay. But here's the idea. We're
Mhm.
not victim to that. Okay. We can heal that type of stuff because we are God's source energy. Okay. And I chose to heal that back to wherever it was created. Where are we going with this? The idea is that when I run into these cars now and see them in my awareness, I feel like I can have that. I can have that. I don't feel that funny feeling in my body that I'll never have that. I just let it go. Okay. If it's something I'm going to experience, I'll have it. If not, I'm okay with pretty much letting creator take over, Sally. So,
I love that. Because you
but
know what? I could have that too, but I would have to mortgage my house. And I mean, but here, this speaks to priorities too. I
you
mean,
know,
that right? Because I have no desire to I mean, I've already had an expensive Benz once. I'm
do I?
good.
Yeah, and then all kinds of other thoughts come in. Do I really
Yeah.
need that? Listen, I don't really need it, but someday, if I make a score and I want to buy a Benz, I'll buy it. If not, you know what? It doesn't. But what I'm saying is,
You're
I
not
don't have
ready.
to go walk around with that discomfort in my body. So you spoke about feeling abandonment things, and I think you said you healed it or not. But what I'm saying is, if we feel that there's a reoccurring pattern, we can heal it, and you can heal it a lot of different ways, guys. But I use the EFT. The EFT is putting my desires at my command. Yes, as if I'm God, because I am God's source energy, and so is everyone listening.
I know.
And you have that kind of power.
We've been told we are not powerful. What the
We've
heck?
been told where we got to get in line, guys. That's how we've been taught. Religion, school, nuns hitting us with rulers, all of this. We've all been, but Sally, perhaps we should talk a little bit about what we're planning tomorrow to see if there are any takers.
Sure, we could talk about that. And then I'd like to talk about I mean, we kind of touched on the mind body,
Okay.
emotional, but I mean, that we could talk about. And the other thing, I was going to ask you about your grounding technique, if you have, you know, whatever your best practices are, because it feels like everybody, I mean, it's nice to hear what everybody else does for that. And yeah,
You know, Sally, you hit me. You gave me a beautiful list before, and it made me go into deep meditation about some of these things. And my best, okay, I know I jotted it down, but I'm not picking up on it. The best way to ground, guys, is to me, is to get physical out in nature. I don't care what that looks like for you. That could be planting flowers, that could be going for a walk, but uh, being physical in nature, especially near water. This is coming straight from
yeah,
my higher self, Sally, because the water energy is a constant flow. And my place would be the ocean. But for those of us that live in the interior parts of the country or the world, excuse me, and you can't get near water, I don't care where it is. But getting outside and being physical in nature is what I would call my best grounding exercises. If I'm stuck in a house or a room, and I could go there in my mind, Sally.
right.
I could call in the light, let it flow through my body, and then down through my feet and into the center of the earth and back up. I could ground that way too. I mean, those are little tricks and tools we've learned along uh, through our practices. What's
Yeah.
appropriate? What's appropriate for the moment, if you would.
Water is especially good, even for me, especially, you know, being in the water or on the water.
Really, Sally, is that true?
Oh yeah.
Being in the water to me is like Sally. I'll go in the ocean. I'll start crying. It's that emotional for me.
Yeah, kayaking is, so for me, even kayaking is a spiritual experience.
Okay.
But yeah, it feels so good next to the water. I mean, I don't know what the deal is. I don't, and this is like, I don't need to know. I intuitively know that this is good for me, so I do it often.
Say that
And
again, Sally. Everyone needs to hear that. I
I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why, but I do intuitively know that it makes me feel good, and so I do it often.
and
And
that's enough.
That's why I do it. And the forest is also like being near big trees is also for me a totally different flavor of grounding
Okay.
if you call it flavors. But it also is very uh, and rivers too. But anyway, water.
Water,
Hmm.
especially Sally, for me, it's especially any kind of water that flows.
Yeah,
They would be rivers and oceans for me.
yeah.
I got nothing. I believe me, I love lakes too, but oceans and rivers that flow because it's the constant flow of, I feel that, which I could relate to my life, the flow that I relate to, and I like it. So I don't need to, like you just said, I don't need to explain why. I intuitively know I like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we like it because it's good for us, and yeah.
We don't have, maybe everyone is picking up on, we don't have to second guess everything to death.
Yeah, well, that's how you talk yourself out of things.
Second guessing.
Mm-mm. Yeah. If it feels good and feels expansive, then I do it. And even if I'm scared. Actually, I just heard even if and especially if I'm scared.
Yeah. And finding when you're scared and you're finding things that bring you joy, those are certainly healing techniques, guys. That Sally, I get the feeling people are relating to this. Some people, and I'm seeing people walking their dogs or playing with animals.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is we don't care what you do that brings you joy. Okay. And I mentioned even you could hear the guys they're mowing outside and they're weed whacking. I'll go out there and I'll be planting mulch later. I'm spreading mulch. And that is like, to me, a spiritual practice. I like doing it. I'm out. I got the flowing river down the block from me. I can see it. And that's how I connect. So, Sally, like I said, being physical in nature is the best way to ground, if you're asking me.
Yeah. Well, I did ask you. All right. Meditation. You've mentioned it many times. I already kind of know this about you. It's a big part of you and your spiritual connection. When you say meditation, what do you mean? Though I wanted to ask you that.
Well, there are those moments where I'll meditate, and there's so many different ways to meditate, Sally. I guess I don't
That's
know,
why I'm asking you because
but
there are so many ways.
I will clear every thought from my mind, and it could be just for 15 seconds. Just allow nothing, and I do believe that gets better as you practice it.
Yes, it does.
Okay, it seems to be very easy for me now. Just sitting in the moment, sitting in a chair, and just letting everything go, and just being present with God. Not allowing any thoughts to come in. There are some times where I'll do a guided meditation where I'll bring myself to the spiritual path or spiritual plane, and I connect with angels and Jesus at this special place that I created in my mind. But
Yep.
there's all. But gratitude is I would say, my greatest spiritual practice. Gratitude.
Right on. Yeah. And I would definitely say, just for everybody out there, I mean, if you are finding yourself trying to meditate for hours and it's not working, that's because you're not doing it right. And I hate to even say that, but here's the thing. You don't have to meditate for a long time to get results. It's more of letting go of your expectations and just trying to huh, accept. So, like when you say clear your mind, a lot of people, especially at the beginning of awakening, have a hard time doing that. And so maybe
I
you
agree.
start out by just noticing the thoughts, and maybe notice that they're balloons and they're floating away. And so try to clear like that for a short period. And I'm saying like 10 minutes even. It doesn't even have to be long, but just it's a practice.
It is. Sally, I find myself only having to do it for short periods of time, maybe less than a minute. I'll do,
Yeah.
if I do tapping, almost in a sense, being self-aware, and I don't know, you wouldn't call that meditating.
Yes, I would.
There were, if Sally, I'll tap without thought. Let's put it that way. Tap without thought, just for the physical aspect, to connect my uh, spiritual with my physical without any kind of reason. It's just the soothing thing. I'll just go through the tapping process. And what you're also doing when you're tapping, guys, on both sides of the body, you remember we have bilateral symmetry in the brain and in the body, and we're crossing over those energies. Okay. So when you're tapping on you could tap with your right hand on your left side and doing it vice versa. You could do the Wayne Cook posture. You could do Donna Eden energy exercises. There are so many ways of making sure your energies are crossing over.
I know. Well, I mean, even in pranic healing, I mean, they talk about doing a quick energy, um, to invigorate yourself, and that is it. That is just whatever you do, cross the center line.
Cross
And you can do it for less than 5 minutes, and it is invigorating.
it gets both sides of your brain working, Sally, and it's, you could think about it. It's like when you're trying to go through your day and you're doing work, don't you want to use more of your beautiful healthy brain than just half? So it really is common sense, guys. It's not spiritual woo-woo stuff we're giving you here. We're giving you everyday
Well, I think they call that brain yoga. What I'm
brain.
No, I mean, really. I mean, so if you're interested in learning more about crossing the center line, I'm pretty sure it's called brain yoga.
Brain yoga.
You can look it up. And
I know Donna Eden energy exercises covers a lot of that. Okay.
I don't know. So
It's you're crossing your legs, you're putting your hands together, you're that's the Wayne Cook posture. There's so many ways of doing it. And in the past, Sally, I would take my clients through those energy exercises before we would get into it, because it would help them to let the information flow that needed to be cleared. I might start reincorporating some of that. I do a little tapping with people in my sessions before we have readings and stuff, so that we're just clearing out all the excess or stagnant energy that might be affecting both of us. Let's put it that way. So
right. Yeah.
that's okay.
All right. So two last things. We need to talk about the class that we're offering tomorrow in the evening. And then also what if you have any bit of advice for those that are just awakening, what would it be?
Oh God, I wrote something really good.
Of course you did.
Okay, awakening. No, I'm not, Sally. I'm not picking up on it, but awakening is a term that, Sally. What do we call awakening?
Well, beginning our spiritual path towards ascension.
Our conscious spiritual path.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. If anyone listened to this before, I believe I said, we're always awakening, but we're just not consciously aware of it.
Yes.
But for Sally and me and people that do this stuff day in and day out for a living or as a being, okay, Awakening means that we crossed over into something that is consciously connected to spirit. Consciously. Okay? Everything's connected to spirit, guys. I don't care if you're out there flipping hamburgers. Okay? But when you're flipping hamburgers, knowing you're connected to God, that's a conscious awakening or a conscious awareness. And so, therefore, flipping the best hamburger you could, making the best mozzarella that you could, being the best mom that you could, whatever. So, to go to answer your question, Sally, awakening, what can people do? Okay, awakening is going to be a very challenging experience. So I would offer that you be compassionate with the ups and the downs that you're going to run into. Okay, because spirit is always going to lay in front of you. They're going to lay it right out there for you so that you can heal it. Okay.
Right.
I don't know if you want to call those ups and downs, but
It sounds
it's
like
sort of
that.
like a challenge that spirit puts in front of you. And if you picked up on what Sally said before, she said something to the effect of, what am I supposed to learn here? So questions like that, you could ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn here? Am I learning to be more compassionate with myself and others? Am I learning how to be more patient? Am I learning how to be more tolerant? Am I learning to, here's a good one, am I learning how to stand up for myself more in the face of perhaps abuse?
Yeah.
Okay, in any relationship. And I wanted to say that, Sally, that came up before in my meditation. That any kind of relationship that includes uh, abuse of any kind is what I call a deal breaker.
I went through that.
A
And
deal breaker.
it's just like, I'm sorry, you can't. I mean, I don't know how anybody would make that work. Um, once there's a certain line of respect when it is crossed, it is just like, I'm sorry. It's, you know, yeah.
And Sally, this is what came to me. Look, in my experience, look, I've been married for 43 years, and I know my wife well, and she's a very, very sweet human soul, and I got to learn who she is in that time. So I was willing, me personally, to give my wife a little bit more deference than I would someone else. Okay,
Right. Mhm.
in trying to heal a relationship, but after I feel like I've done that and it didn't work, there's what the bottom line is here is what I'm saying is getting abused in any way is when the line is crossed. And that's something no one needs to put up with. Okay. I don't know why I had to say that, but that had to come out today.
Because I really have a feeling that, judging from the old paradigm, how are the programming that was out there, a lot of us have been living in situations that have been abusive. We were raised by abusive parents. We picked partners that were abusive, and through all of that trauma, we still do not feel worthy of a loving, safe relationship. And so we are drawing this in repeatedly, like we were talking about patterns. And so it is time to wake up and realize that you don't have to put up with disrespect, abuse of any kind. You are worthy as your birthright. You know, and to just shift. You can make up your mind in one day to change it. It will not be comfortable. And here's the thing about awakening, right? Is we have to go through all of this programming, and we're sifting through and we're looking, if I want to think of it all as chords, which I tend to,
Okay.
We're checking every chord and we're like, "Ooh, I don't want that anymore. I'm getting rid of that. I don't believe that. I don't want to believe that. That's horrible." And so we're going through and we're unplugging ourselves. And what we find at the end of that process is that we were whole from the beginning. We didn't need all of these people to put this programming in. So the old paradigm is that we as children came in empty and we needed to be filled. We already came in full. We pushed aspects of ourselves aside. That's the shadow that we're now having to deal with. These parts that we were like, "Ooh, I can't have that. Nobody likes that." I get sent to my room when I'm loud. I get sent to my room when I laugh too loud. Whatever it is. And so the awakening, like you said, it can be very uncomfortable because we are reevaluating how we fit into the world in general, how we see ourselves. And sometimes that ripples out into all of the relationships that we have at that time. And I know, I mean, I was married for 17, 18 years and it did not withstand. It was not a loving relationship in the way that I deserved. And so it fell away. And, you know, that's kind of too bad. I wish I could be here and be like, yeah, I was with my spouse for all of these years. But at this point, and I'm like, wow, I stood up. I stood up for my own self worth. And then I fell down a few times with even worse choices. But that's what I mean. We're learning. And now I am safe.
And that's the experience in the big picture, what Sally's describing is this experience we came here to live, guys. This is the way it is. But I keep circling back to people judging themselves about this stuff, Sally.
Yeah.
About people.
Well, because of the programming, especially getting divorced. Because I tell you what, I was not going to be one of these people that ever got divorced.
Okay.
But there came up, I mean, so this is what I notice is that all these things come up for us and we're like, well, am I going to am I going to stay married, keep my promise, or am I going to actually have some self-respect? And
Wow.
that is the awakening. Like I don't deserve to be gaslit all the time. I deserve to be able to have an opinion and to change my mind or whatever.
Sally, that was the awakening. But here's what I'm going to ask you. Did you see that consciously as the awakening at the time?
Not at the well,
You just took action.
I had to. So spirit came in and told me that if I didn't, I was going to get really sick. And so, but so there's the body, so we were talking about that, the body, mental, emotional, you cannot live emotionally stressed and under extreme pressure without ramifications in your physical body for long.
Guys, listen, okay, let Sally's, I believe that's totally accurate.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, it doesn't mean you're going to fall apart in moments of stress. Stress is part of the human condition. I believe Sally is talking about prolonged
Yep.
periods of that kind. In other words, if you're in, let's bring a toxic job. Okay. Is the job toxic, or is it the way you're looking at these people are no good, these people, or is it totally a toxic environment? Okay. And constantly, is it like that every single day, no matter how you try to shift your perspective? It might mean that it's time for you to make a change.
You have to either change your perspective or you have to change your job, but doing nothing is only going to make you sick.
Okay, correct. Because you're you're putting up with, you're allowing yourself to be, how would you say, abused in some way. You
Yeah,
don't
why?
deserve that.
Well,
You
and
don't.
I feel, it's in your body. So how I see it, which is, I don't know, is that all of that stress is like acid in your body, and you can't live like that for long, over long periods of time without major health ramifications. And so that's how I see it. And so I was told that if I continued the way I was going to get cancer. But I had all of my gifting like came in really fast, and I was like, what the heck? And
Oh yeah.
yeah, and I was also told I needed to release my husband. It was like, wow. So, and it was through a friend who was also a medium, and that was her first mediumship. So it's how my awakening is very strange, and how the whole thing happened. But I do the mind, body, emotional, and the spiritual, but it's all connected. And so if you're in an abusive relationship where you are constantly on eggshells and you are stressed, and the best thing my counselor at the time ever told me was like, check your heart rate, Sally, because I didn't even believe I was in an abusive relationship. I was so out. Everything was perfect. I mean, I was like Martha Stewart, and I didn't have any worries until it came time for him to come home.
Okay.
And so check your heart rate. If you're not sure, check your heart rate. And if it's over 100, you got a problem.
Meaning that you were all jacked up on adrenaline.
All the time.
Okay, and that is.
I didn't know. I didn't know. I was just always like that.
You didn't know.
No, I didn't know.
And the idea with I didn't know is be compassionate with that. I didn't know what I knew. I didn't know what I know now. Okay. And that's just, you know what? I did the best I could. I thought I had to stay married. I thought because that's, I made a vow and all of these other things. Guys, how many times do we beat ourselves up about what we didn't know? And that goes back to childhood. We
Yep.
didn't know. All I knew is I had to stay in bed or I'd get punished even with these bad earaches. So I did the best I could. So where am I going with this? I keep pounding away at self-compassion and understanding and acceptance, Sally.
So when you're like the expert at it, honestly.
The foundational, yeah. I'm sorry if I keep belaboring this, but this is the foundation for me, guys. And for the most of the mental health issues that I see, for most, let me say 100% of them, it's in some way people judging themselves or being too harsh on themselves. In some way, I have to be honest and say that, Sally, that's probably come up in 100% of everybody I've worked with. How are they're beating themselves up in some way. Okay. So I don't know how we got to this, but we got there.
Well, and so this is great. So we should probably talk about the event that we're hosting. So tomorrow night we're going to be doing a private group Zoom. And I mean, John, you're going to talk about EFT and tapping, and we're going to learn some basics more than what we learned right now. And then we're going to be tapping as a group, which I've never done. And so I'm super excited.
Yeah, there's a couple of good things about group tapping because, Sally, we go into the group and we set an intention that if I'm tapping with you on your issues, everybody else is getting a healing benefit. And that's how it works because we're setting that intention, guys. But what I suggested Sally and I do was we both give you a quick reading. What is this? $27. We both give you a reading. Okay. And then after the reading, if you're totally 100% fine with the reading and I don't need to tap. You don't need to tap, and that's fine. Okay. But if something comes up where I see that as a trained practitioner, it's outside of love, I'll suggest we tap on that for a few seconds just to show you how it works. We won't go into a full-blown session,
Okay.
but it'll certainly give you a good idea of how this tapping works and how you could use it for yourself, especially when we're up at midnight. Well, it's at midnight on the East Coast and 9 o'clock
Right.
when Sally's pulling cards at night, and she just pulled you a card and that brought something up in you. This can teach you how to tap on it and clear it. Because when Sally is pulling a card for you and she's helping to bring you what's unconsciously hidden. Okay? She's using her spirit connection to bring up something that's may not be consciously, you're not consciously aware of it. But when she pulls the card and she translates the information to you, okay, that's something you may not be consciously aware of. And then all of a sudden you say, aha, yeah, I do that. Well, I'm not very good at relationships. Okay, I'm just using that as an example. And right there, I would tap with you and say, even though I'm not good at relationships, that's just how I feel. Okay, I'm not good at relationships. It's always been that way for me. That's just the way it is. I've always had a problem with this. Okay, Phil, then I'll ask you, what would you like to do? I'd like to be good at relationships, and I choose to be good at relationships going forward. And I'll give you a brief introduction of how this tapping can help you very quick, because you're putting your mind, your body, mind, spirit to work all at once after we give you a quick reading. It's $27, and that's we limited it to 10 people, right, Sally?
Yeah, we did.
We're limiting it to 10 people because it allows Sally and I to give you a reading. Okay. And then me enough time to work with each of you in a private setting. That's why we're not broadcasting this on the internet. It's a private Zoom. And I feel you'll get a lot out of it. You'll get a reading and the way to work out your stuff after you hear the information.
Well,
Sometimes,
yeah, it's
go
on
ahead.
it's on the 5-5 portal for change, and so I see this as being an opportunity of things coming into awareness through the reading and then affecting major change, which is the 5-5. And so I'm like, oh, that when we were talking about when are we going to do this, I remember saying, oh, 5-5 portal for sure.
Wow. Okay. Sally, it's interesting. This is why spirit has been on me as an EFT practitioner / spiritual counselor to work with the psychic medium community, because guys, everybody understands getting a reading. Everybody understands. A lot of times the reading itself brings a lot of comfort. Okay. But remember now, we're all layered like onions, and stuff's just going to keep coming at us. To this day, even being a practitioner, I'll tune into Sally. It's usually around 12:30 a.m. my time. And Sally, pull me a card, please. Sally pulls me a card and something comes up. Sometimes I'm okay with it. Sometimes I have to do a little tapping. And that's the kind of stuff I want to show you, how to apply EFT in a simple way, and how it can create miraculous change in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
If anybody's, if this resonates for anybody.
Right on. Well, yes,
And
I
that
will
would
definitely put the directions to register for the class. It'll be through my website, and so it is registered as a class under my to schedule an appointment. So I will put that in the bottom as well.
okay, guys. We want you to understand, guys. It's going to be private. so that it's not broadcasted all over the internet. We're also going to set an intention that anything that is said in the class is to be kept private. It's not something you're going to go out and talk about everybody. We're going to respect everyone's privacy. Of course, because some personal stuff could come up, and that is sacred information, guys. You know, you're not going to hear Sally and I go on the air and talk about, oh, this happened to Mary Jane, and you know what? You know, we're not going to go there with that. This is when Sally and I do sessions privately with people. You can rest assured that whatever we're creating a safe space for you so that you can feel free to tell us anything without judgment or that it's going to be spread out to anyone else. It's private, it's sacred, and that's the way it's treated.
And you can count on the truth from us, because having a safe space like that also allows a freedom for us to speak freely and to allow whatever to flow through without feeling like we need to filter.
Yep. We're going to give it to you from the heart.
Yep, for real. All right. Any last words?
Sally, I think I blabbered enough.
Yes. No. I mean, it's just great. I mean, this is like what I said. We go on here sometimes and just do this just for us. And I thought it would be great to like let everybody have a little sneak peek at what we do. So
I love these powwows. The only thing is I didn't bring my coffee. Sally, I just wanted to give people a brief listing of what you could do as a daily practice. When you get up, set an intention, guys. You know, the first thing I would do when I get up, Sally, is when I put my feet on the rug off my bed, it's gratitude. First thing. Okay? Gratitude. Set an intention. It could be as simple as to be happy and healthy. That is how simple an intention can be. The second thing I do is check in. If I'm 100% happy and present, I could do a round of tapping on being grateful for that. And then the third thing I do is if I'm not a 100% enjoy in the moment, if something's going on, I do a check-in. I could do a little tapping on, I don't know why, I'm just feeling a little off today. And that's just how I feel. I'd like to feel whole, happy, and joyful. Little simple tapping technique. And that is a daily practice, Sally, that everyone can do. I'm glad you recorded this so they could go back and check it. It gives somebody some kind of focus for the day. Okay? It's a 3-step process, and they could do it very quickly in each morning. And then you could notice how your days, if you set an intention to be joyful and happy, there's a good chance, unless you're blocking it with some kind of belief,
right,
you know, that it's going to happen for you. If you believe that it's not this easy, then guys, you're going to throw yourself off. But understand your power and who you are. Okay, Sally, that's enough because I'm running this.
Wait, so if people want to schedule an appointment with you, where do they go?
Okay,
How do they
guys,
get a you?
I'm all over Facebook. John Thaddeus Fiore is my proper name. You could message me on Facebook. Angelic Mediumship and Counseling is one of my pages. Sally, you know, they could message me through there.
Okay.
John's Beach EFT at yahoo.com. Message me and I'll even give you my cell, guys, and we'll set up an appointment if you want.
Cool.
And Sally, I want to really thank you for this opportunity to come on and chat with you. I think we covered a lot of good stuff.
Yes, we usually do.
Thank you, Sally, for doing this.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome.
So kind of you.
Right. All right. Well, I appreciate you, John. Thank you for sharing all those nuggets of wisdom. And yeah. All
Sally,
right.
I'll see you when you're reading at night.
Yep. Sounds good. All right.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
I'll
Feel
put
free to send any questions to me.
Yeah, I'll put the link to John in the comments. And there was something else. Oh, brain yoga. All right.
Brain yoga. Thanks,
Bye,
Sally.
everybody.
Bye-bye.